And we're live. We're live everywhere. We are live on Twitch, on Media Network, and on YouTube. And also we have plenty of people, over 100 people. No, it's 80 people on the Discord stage. Amazing, amazing numbers from the get-go. And with us tonight, we have founder and CEO of Aldrin Decentralized Exchange, Mr. Khan. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, and it's super exciting to see so many people. I hope it's going to be fun and entertaining for them as well.
For sure it's going to be fun and entertaining, and maybe we can deliver some alpha.
Hopefully.
No promises though. Let's see. So, if you could please introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your background, and a small TLDR about what you've built and what you're building for those that did not come prepared.
Sure. So I'm Hisham. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Aldrin. Aldrin is basically a platform which we've built to simplify cryptocurrency trading. That was the idea at first, but now that we've emphasized more on the DeFi side, thanks to the rise of DeFi in 2020, our mission now is to simplify DeFi. We feel like we need to focus on user experience, we need to focus on design and making it convenient so that people can interact with DeFi and decentralized applications as if it was on the same level and intuitive enough like a centralized product. So that's our goal. A bit about me personally, I've been building products for 10 years now. I started off my career in the enterprise technology space, so was involved in seeing how enterprise products get built at various different Fortune 500 companies. And during that time, I saw it getting done really poorly, with millions of dollars wasted on products, and also saw it happen, kind of being done in a really good way. So took lots of learning from that over the years, which ended up me being at Bloomberg eventually halfway through my career. And that's where I got introduced to financial technology. And while I was at Bloomberg, I was kind of interested in all these emerging technologies, that were happening, such as quantum computing, machine learning, AI, and really what the future would look like, right? So I'm kind of fascinated with the future and really excited about how the world is going to be changing in the next, 5, 10, 20 years. And but by no means was I technical enough to kind of be an expert in these areas, but I really enjoyed the conceptual possibilities. And that's when I started to kind of see a few articles pop up in early 2017 about blockchain and crypto. And so at first it was one article a week, you'd say, and then it was like 2 articles a week. It was like a few in a day, and that was a moment where I was like, all right, I've read a little bit about blockchain and crypto, and I need to just kind of take some time and dive in and see if blockchain and crypto, it's actually what I think, or conceptually what I've made up in my mind, that's what it is. And so one day I decided to go home, put a couple of hours aside after work, and just started looking at Bitcoin and crypto, and I was actually sold immediately. I'm an optimist by nature, and as I mentioned, I'm always excited about the future. And reading and learning about cryptocurrencies and blockchains, my mind was just on fire that day. I think I'll probably remember that night for the rest of my life. So I decided to go out for a walk, and all these ideas were just kind of, racing through my head on how this technology will transform so many different industries, including enterprise blockchain space. I was actually also excited about that because I was from the enterprise world. But that was sort of like the journey into the crypto space and how I got in. But yeah, I'll pause there and happy to go deeper into any of these topics.
It's a beautiful journey. I feel very close to that kind of journey. But you ended up in Solana. Like how the hell did this happen? Ethereum is the place usually people get drawn for the initial DeFi.
Right, so this wasn't planned by any means. I mean, we kind of stumbled upon it, but initially we were working on a centralized product, right? So like DeFi was exciting. There were a lot of ideas floating around in 2017, 18, and then the bear market started. So a lot of that kind of, just went under the radar once again, and the attention was not on it so much anymore. And then while we were building this centralized trading product, we were kind of focusing on how to empower traders with smart trading tools, advanced order types, and kind of how we could give traders a terminal where they could do automation, customization when they're trading, futures or spot markets. And then the summer of DeFi happened. And that was a really exciting time. Even though my co-founder and I, we were not working on DeFi, it was exciting for us because we were attracted to this industry for the promise of decentralization. And so as that was happening, we were like, all right, we got to take a look, we got to stop here what we're doing and kind of pay attention because there's some serious money going into this industry. And this is no longer just an idea or a white paper. It's actually real products with billions of dollars being poured into it. So we didn't want to just clone an Ethereum project, to be honest. We wanted to do something a little bit different that kind of aligned with what we believed, which has always been just providing superior user experience and design. And around that time, we started to notice some really smart people in this industry were talking about Solana. And this is around early fall 2020, right? So it was, we were fortunate enough to kind of stumble upon it early on. And we learned about Serum at that time, that it had just launched.
You must have been following the sushi swap saga then. The timing is perfect. September 2020, Sushi Swap votes on the bonsai proposal to migrate some volume to the Serum dexes.
Yeah, I was definitely following that saga, and before the sushi kind of drama started, I was actually wondering how come Uniswap didn't have a token, and and then I was given the answer a couple of days later. We saw SushiSwap. But the key thing that attracted us was, we were building a lot of trading technology. I mean, that's what our expertise is in, building beautiful interfaces. And when we saw that we could use Serum as a building block, we kind of took it as a challenge. So one day, at the end of the week, my co-founder and I, we were like, all right, we're going to put a pause on all of our backlog items, and we're going to put our small team, which at the time, we're still relatively small, I'd say, but we were smaller at that time. And we're going to try to take on this challenge next week on building our DEX on top of Serum. And we were able to do that in under 48 hours. So once we built it, it was obviously still in a pretty, I'd say in a raw state. It wasn't as aesthetic and as user-friendly as it is now. I remember trading on it for the first time, and just seeing the speed of Solana was pretty mind-blowing. And that was the moment where we realized, okay, there's definitely something here, This is exactly the kind of user experience that we want to go after, and it's not going to be possible with Ethereum. However, it's possible with Solana. And even if there's a small probability of Solana becoming an Ethereum competitor in some form or taking on some of the DeFi market, it would still be a big enough opportunity. And I think the timing for us was just perfect. We were still pretty early in the ecosystem at that time. And so yeah, that's how we kind of ended up on Solana.
It makes sense. Like I understand, since you're building a beautiful interface that wants to create a great user experience for a trader, maybe a traditional finance trader coming to decentralized finance, and Serum and Solana being able to have order books and analytics and all these live things, it makes it the go-to place for DeFi.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the other hand, we are early in Solana, and the recent event that we had 2 days ago on the 14th at 12 o'clock UTC, Solana went down. Of course, that's not really good for any user experience. I'm looking at the moment on my screen. I have I'm looking at the RIN graph, and I can notice that there are 12 flat lines where Solana stopped. Any opinions on that? Anything that you want to comment about what happened?
Look, obviously that's not a great scenario. You never want that happening, and it was kind of unfortunate that it did. Given that we were kind of building a really good narrative for Solana, I mean, I feel like the Solana team, first of all, has done a fantastic job. They first built a really awesome technology, and then they followed that up with some amazing partnerships and a really amazing marketing campaign, right, to get Solana to the top 10. With that said, obviously it's attracted a lot of money in TVL, and there are a lot of dApps building on top of it. So it's no longer a chain that's not going to be scrutinized closely. So a lot of people found that opportunity to kind of start talking about it. Some in support of this, not it going down, but in support of like the fact that the team was really working hard to get it back up. For us as builders on Solana, it's not a great situation to be in, and we hope that from here we could learn some lessons and start to become more proactive in solving some of these problems. I mean, that's what we could hope for. But I have no doubt that, we'll bounce back really strong. I think the market kind of reflects it. The price of Solana, it's still been pretty healthy, pretty stable. And I think there's a lot of belief, right, that in the team that they'll pull through. And I think that's the right kind of attitude to have because, they've been amazing throughout this whole thing. And technology takes time to build. Like that's one thing that I've learned in my last 10 years is things take time. So for instance, even in 2017, when we were kind of dreaming up the whole world on the blockchain and, self-driving cars and IoT using cryptocurrencies and all that stuff, like it was really exciting and, it was good to market that stuff. But knowing that sometimes even companies, for example, which have millions of dollars in budget to build a product in-house with coordinated team and management and full-time staff, it could take a number of years to build complex products, right? So when you think about blockchains and these kind of things, which are more open source and require a lot of input from different people, different developers, and being at sort of like at the forefront and building cutting edge technology, it's not easy, that's for sure, but it also takes time. And so I think we'll bounce back for sure, and this will just be kind of, one of the things in the past, and we're looking forward to moving forward from this.
Yeah, I totally agree. Most people will not even remember it in a couple of years. It resembles a little bit the Shanghai attacks in 2016 in Ethereum. I mean, things happen. Bitcoin has stopped at its infancy. We are still early. So, guys, it's the journey to becoming anti-fragile, where any attack makes you stronger. Let's get into some more project-specific questions. We are fortunate to have like a really strong community with a fantastic researcher team for DeFi strategies, for gems, for new projects, for quality teams. Most of this AMA was coordinated from the community. It's Wunderbar, I think, was the guy that actually made this happen, and he contributed with awesome questions as well. So let's go check them out a little bit.
Yeah, that was actually great. We had someone comment in our chat like, that I should do an AMA, and I was like, yeah, I'd love to. That's really been amazing to see. Our community has been growing as well, and just the contribution and the feedback has been pretty awesome.
I noticed that you came a little bit out of nowhere. Like suddenly Aldrin was there. Projects were voting Aldrin as the best user experience for projects to launch on. I have to thank you for listing Grape immediately. Beautiful communication with your team, unprecedented. But you IDO'd in non-Solana platforms. If I'm not mistaken, it was MantraDAO and Zendit instead of Radium, Solanium, Solpad, or any of those platforms. What was the thinking behind that move?
So that's actually a really good question. When we were preparing for the IDO, right, and I'm talking about like early 2021, most of the Solana projects did not exist, and the ones that did exist, like Radium, they had not fully built out all that infrastructure to do an IDO, right? So it's been amazing how fast Solana has grown in terms of the ecosystem in the last 8 to 9 months. But we were planning on doing the IDO super early in 2021. It did get dragged out to June, but the initial planning and I'm sure you've gone through this. IDOs take a lot of planning, right? There's a lot of moving parts, and you have to kind of decide on things, and a lot of this gets planned out early on. So towards the end, where we were getting near the date, we were talking to a few Ethereum LaunchPads because there was just more audience there. And the thinking was, if we could somehow show them, that we're a Solana project and give them an incentive to come and trade on Solana, then we could bring in new users into the ecosystem. So that was one of the reasons, was to introduce Solana to the Ethereum community through the IDO, right? And then the second was simply that Solana at that time didn't really have a lot of launchpad options for us. We did speak with the Radium team, but we were sort of like in the final stages of pulling the trigger on the IDO, and there was not enough time to coordinate and get it done. So we figured, all right, we'll go with this. We'll stick to the original plan, not to make it so confusing and kind of moving things around last minute. So I'd say that was probably the two main reasons. But the initial thought was always like, how do we bring more people into this ecosystem? So I don't know if that was a really great strategy or not, to be honest, but at least, the thinking behind it was that, we want to expose the Ethereum ecosystem to the Solana side. And if we're a DEX and they're going to be able to, let's say, bridge their tokens and move over, then that would be a great strategy to bring in new traders and let them experience like the power of Solana.
I see the strategy. I totally see the strategy, especially when you're talking about early 2021. Yeah, Radium had just launched. What was it? End of February that we had Radium tokens. So I totally understand you, and I also understand the fact that it took you longer to you had to push the IDO. We as Grape, we were planning on dropping the token in May, and we dropped it like 2 days ago. So yeah, I understand. I feel you 100%. Looking at the tokenomics of RIN, I can see that there is a large portion, rather large, for community farming. Could you give some details on that? Say 18% goes to community farming. How does this happen? What's the plan?
Sure. So initially, we were kind of preparing for using the allocated tokens for farming as a growth technique, right? We've seen that kind of work really well in all of DeFi, and it still continues to work well. And so we wanted to allocate some portion of that for users who would use our products to help bootstrap and grow the Aldrin ecosystem and get users in. And we're now finalizing because we've actually developed more, or let's put it this way, we've been developing at a faster pace than what we had initially planned. So for instance, we have 2 products coming out. One is an AMM and one is smart trading on the DEX. I can speak about them shortly a bit later if you're interested. But
definitely, I'm very interested.
Yeah. So that basically means that we have to think about our tokenomics a little bit more, right? It's no longer just an order book DEX. There are going to be all these new products and features under it, and the idea is to expand into a whole trading ecosystem. So traders come into Aldrin and they find everything there. And so with that said, we're trying to put the farming, at least get it started with the AMM launch. That's the initial plan. And we're just kind of finalizing the rewards and finalizing how the exact mechanics of it is going to work. And that should be coming out, I'd say, in a matter of days. I know we've said soon in the past, so that's probably not very promising. But the reason for that is like we really want to just look at what the right balance is, right? What's going to be the best for the token. We don't necessarily want to just do a copy paste effort and just go out there without giving much thought into it. So we've been researching on this for weeks on how to kind of build out the right type of tokenomics incentive structure, especially around community farming and which product is going to be like the first one to get started with that. So we see this farming is happening in phases. We don't want to, let's say, lock it down and do it in a way where we're kind of just tied to one method of farming and then there's no flexibility. So we're looking at maybe doing phase 1 with the AMM launch and then kind of seeing how we can incorporate that into the order book DEX as well. And then perhaps in the future with other products, we're planning on launching a centralized exchange as well in the future.
Wow, I have so many questions. It's insane. I love it. I love what you're building. It's important for DeFi to be successful in Solana. But let me understand it because this is. I'm also interested in the alpha. First of all, guys, you just dropped quite a lot of alpha, saying days. Within days, we're going to see that. I took a note on this one. Are you planning on launching liquidity pools and farms? Through Aldrin, or are you going to use some already existing infrastructure like Radium or like Cropper Finance or like Atrix, some new projects that are just launching on Solana? So we're going to see incentivized farms and liquidity pools through Aldrin.
Correct. So we're launching our own basically AMM pools, and one of the reasons I said that it's actually, the technology has been ready for a while, but we've submitted it for auditing. So we are probably going to be the first AMM that's audited by a third party, and we're kind of finalizing that and making sure that that's a factual statement. But from what I know at this moment, I think that's highly likely to be the case. And so we're waiting for the audit to complete, which is expected to be done probably by tomorrow or early next week. We were expecting it to be this week, but given that we're at the end, I'd say probably next week the audit will be completed. And then the plan is to launch Aldrin's own AMM pools with farming and, liquidity mining and staking and all of the fun stuff that comes along with it. So, if you come to think of it, Aldrin is an order book DEX. We have a wallet, and I'm happy to tell you why we even built a wallet. Yeah, but yeah, sure. And now we're going to have an AMM pools.
May I ask, those AMM pools, are they going to be siloed, or are they going to be providing also liquidity to all the pairs trading on the Serum DEXs? Or are they going to be only for Aldrin?
So they're going to be basically siloed at first. We're thinking about doing a hybrid model. The hybrid model takes some time and some research. We already built it, but we're not releasing it because we want to do it the right way. So we're kind of, in talk with some strategic, quant teams who are helping us advise on that part of it, on how we're going to do a hybrid AMM where most of the funds, let's say in the pool, are used to do a swap internally, but part of those funds are used to, let's say, market make on the Serum order book, right? So we're looking into that, and I think which is something that will probably launch as version 2. But given the nature of how Solana has been explosive in terms of growth and the excitement in the community, we feel like it's the right business decision to start off with perhaps siloed liquidity, get the product launched, get the community to experience the kind of user experience and the interfaces that we build around it, and later on kind of update the versions. In version 2, we can get more advanced in doing hybrid. And we also have some other ideas which are a little bit too early to share, but thinking about how we're going to innovate to make the AMM probably unique in its own way and how to drive volume there. There are some other ideas which I don't feel like I can disclose at this moment.
Totally understandable.
But, yeah, there will be other versions coming out in the future.
Another question with regards on what you described at the moment. Are we talking about permissioned pools, pools/farms, or permissionless? Can any project go and create their pool and trade on Aldrin? Or you are going to guard that in a way?
We're leaning more towards the latter. It's still to be kind of decided upon. So, give us I'd say like about 2 weeks and we'll have that sorted out. But our idea is to create open access for anyone, right? Like, we don't want to be the police here. And who's to say that we could do good policing, right? Like, we don't have, I'd even say, the resources to sit there and kind of, review every single token, every single project. We're already seeing somewhat like 400 projects on Solana, and if Solana will continue to grow, there's going to be thousands of projects, and like policing thousands of projects is like not realistically possible for our team.
Yeah, the newest hackathon Ignition, Solana Ignition, is gonna spawn like 500 plus ecosystems and projects. They're all going to want to release a token and launch on Aldrin. But my request as a DeFi user and as a person that has been ragged in every chain possible, I would want to see also a smart contract lock for any founder that is actually initializing liquidity pools that are incentivized. We really don't want to become Binance chain kind of ethics. So yeah, maybe you should consider.
That's a great idea.
Yes, a mandatory initial liquidity lock for at least 6 months. Only serious projects. I love the way the Solana family is still small and intimate. There's great communication between projects and groups, and we can ensure great user experience if we stay coordinated and we don't allow all those projects all this layered farming that doesn't make any sense to become a reality in Solana.
No, I really appreciate that. take a note of this. We've discussed this in the past internally, but it's something that I feel like we need to revisit and see how we can ensure by having something like that, you can really segregate, let's say, the good projects from the bad. So I totally agree.
And you've been developing some other nice tools. You have a rebalancing tool, if I'm not mistaken, and you're working on a bunch more. Want to give us a little bit of alpha on what you're working at the moment, in general, about those tools that are going to enhance trader experience and their abilities?
For sure. So one of our key, I'd say, innovations and key products has been smart trading. And that's something that we built with the plans to launch the centralized exchange at first. But what's exciting is there's no reason why we can't offer that on the DEX. And so, that's another thing that we're super excited about that will bring advanced orders to the DEX, right? So think about doing things like stop losses, take profits, dollar cost averaging, like a whole bunch of ability for traders to kind of automate their trading, to have more control over their portfolios when they're trading on the DEX. And that will be, I think, a pretty special thing, right? Because none of the DEXs, I'd say, not just in Solana, but probably any ecosystem, offer that level of functionality. Not even centralized exchanges are offering that kind of functionality. So we're really excited about that, and that's also not that far out. We're kind of like just trying to prioritize internally on what we release first, and kind of creating a pipeline, because even internally we sometimes get too excited about products and we kind of start working on a few of them and then have to just kind of still put them through a pipeline to make sure the quality check is there and we're not releasing stuff prematurely. But I'd say smart trading is definitely something that will change the trading experience on our DEX, Aldrin DEX, and just take it to a different level. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, this is going to be definitely something that will make you different from the competition. There is quite a lot of competition in the DEX level built on Serum. I mean, from DEX Labs to Bonfida to Solape, so many. But having all these automated trading tools, for sure, it will set you ahead. They already has already set you ahead. Any other things that you're working on the partnership level? Maybe something that will get you even more ahead of the curve. Feel free. Of course, feel free to ignore any of my questions. Tell me I don't want to answer any of this. It's totally understandable.
So I appreciate that. I'll definitely keep that in mind. We're now looking at a few projects, and we've had chats with a couple of them, and we're looking to see, because up until recently we were so busy with just kind of building Aldrin out that we didn't really have a chance to take a look around in the ecosystem and find opportunities for integrations and partnerships. However, we're at a stage now where we believe that that's possible, and we're also growing our team. So for those listening in, if you're excited about Aldrin and you want to really bring a change in the DeFi user experience, please go to aldrin.com and click on this icon next to our logo, and we're hiring for various different roles. But coming back to this, we're growing our team, and part of that effort is going to be to look at other projects, to find ways to integrate with them. And this is DeFi, right? So you can really get creative and perhaps find ways to use the token and derivative of the token in various different ways. So for example, if you could, let's say you stake RIN and you get some sort of like a let's call it a derivative of that, or like SRIN, for example, version of it, then you can go and use that as collateral somewhere else. And that can really give you a lot of power, for example, and keep you within the RIN ecosystem and still be able to kind of utilize all the different products and services. So we're certainly looking at different integrations and partnerships, but haven't really come to announce anything yet. But probably in the next couple of weeks or the next 2 to 3 months, we should have some stuff coming out.
So lots of announcements coming about the RIN utility, partnerships, marketing, new milestones on the roadmap. Amazing things. How big is the team?
We're about 15, I'd say, somewhere around that. So we've grown a bit recently. I'd say our engineering team is still relatively small, but the great aspect to all of this is that we've been working together for a while now, and so we bond really well. We've just kind of gotten into this rhythm, and are able to just build at a faster pace, I'd say, because of all the time that we've been working together over the last couple of years. So that makes that possible. But we're definitely growing our team. We're not satisfied with what the pace even at this moment. Like, we want to push harder, push faster. We have a bunch of other products that are in kind of catching dust at the moment, just because we're not scaled enough in terms of our team size to be able to work on them and finish them off. So some of the stuff is just like some 70-80% done and just needs a little bit of more attention from our side. And that's the place that we want to get to, is we want to continuously release different features, products, and we know some of it will work and some of it will definitely fail, right? So we want to get the failures out of the way so we can get to the products and the features that our community will love, the traders will love, and that's something that we can then double down on and really start to like make it the best out there in the industry.
Amazing. A team of 15 superheroes. I love it. And you're hiring, you said. Is there any place that anyone from the audience can go and drop his CV? Or they go through, we value your feedback, I want to suggest an idea, and his idea is hire me. And you contact him in a specific way, or you have maybe some application on Angel List or something like that.
So that would be awesome. We actually have listed a few of our positions, and we'll be adding more at aldrin.com. So if you go to aldrin.com, you'll see an icon next to our logo. It says we're hiring, and that'll take you to jobs.aldrin.com. And
yeah, I just pressed it. Amazing.
One of the fun things about it is, like, we don't even know all the roles that we're hiring for at the moment, right? So we're a startup, and sometimes the roles are not clearly defined. And so we've created a create your own role.
Yeah, awesome. I have it on my screen at the moment. That's such an awesome idea.
Right. So for anyone, and that's something that I've seen a lot of, right? So we'll see like blockchain and crypto companies definitely hiring for engineering talent, and that's obviously necessary and a key part of this all. But there's also so much that needs to go into like marketing, business development, legal, research and development. There's a lot of other things and cool positions that need to be filled in this industry. And I myself am not a developer, and so like I always want to kind of push for all these non-technical roles as well, and just make sure that people know that they're out there. If you're not a technical person, that's okay. You could still be contributing in a really meaningful way to different products, and we believe at Aldrin, like, we want to hire some of the best people who are just passionate about this industry to come help us build it. Like, if you want DeFi to succeed, and that's something that we tweeted, is like, everybody wants to have simple DeFi and have like these awesome products, but nobody wants to come and build on it, right? Like, everybody talks about user experience, but it's still neglected quite heavily. And so we're a team that's focused on that primarily. And if that aligns well with you, please apply to our positions. We'd love to talk to you.
Beautiful. Thank you. And I encourage everybody out there to go try to get involved. If you are working on something you love, you usually do an amazing job. So I encourage you to go check what positions they're hiring, or create your own role, or suggest something crazy or very useful for. There is a button next to leave your feedback that you can leave your actual feedback or pitch your idea. Could you elaborate a little bit on what you write on your aldrin.com website, where it says in brokerage partnership with Binance? Can you tell us a little bit about that, and what's the role of Binance on all this? It's a heavy name.
For sure. So we were actually, as I was mentioning, our initial plan was to launch a centralized exchange product, and we were doing that in partnership in this Binance broker partnership with Binance. And we were actually beta testing it, getting a lot of traders to come give us feedback, running, tens of thousands of trades, millions in volume, behind closed doors, obviously. And then, as I was mentioning, we kind of saw the rise of DeFi and put all of those plans on hold. We'd love to get back to that, right? So that product is pretty much almost ready to launch. And as we grow our team, where our plan is to sort of like divide the team. So we'll have a DeFi team and we'll have a CeFi team. And that's a really challenging thing to do. And it kind of goes probably against some of the traditional mindset, which is focus on one thing and do it really well.
I mean, the Serum FTX team is managing very well.
Exactly. So the reward is just that much bigger, right? So it's a challenge, but if you can pull it off, then it is super rewarding. And for us, like, we started off on that idea. We also feel like, we believe in DeFi, but in all reality, crypto CeFi is not going anywhere. It's still a huge market, and we'll see more and more people coming into it. So the way that we kind of think about it is, if you go and talk to your friends who don't know anything about crypto and you try to pull them into DeFi, that's probably going to be a really hard conversation. And there's going to have to be a long or really large learning curve for them to get involved. But it's still easier relatively to get involved in crypto CeFi, right? So for us as a company, what we see is crypto CeFi is going to eat up traditional finance quite fast. And then once people buy Bitcoin, once people get into the ecosystem, perhaps through Coinbase or one of these easy exchanges, it becomes easier to onboard them onto DeFi because now they have some idea. Now they have understood what cryptocurrencies are. They've bought it. They've interacted with it. So it could act as a funnel in the way that I see it. Like, it's the market out there for crypto CeFi is huge. We'll go after that. And then part of that will be educating those people to come in, to those users to come in and start using and trying some of the various DeFi products that we have. And it's a win-win for us as Aldrin, right? Like, we benefit if somebody uses our DeFi products or our CeFi products. So we won't have, let's say, a bias towards one or the other.
Beautiful. I understand the vision here, and yes, it's one complements the other. So I totally get it. But I need to understand myself. I assume if I want to understand, I'm pretty sure the audience wants. Which, by the way, we're above 200 people watching us live only. What is the brokerage partnership with Binance? Meaning that, does it mean that you have a common volume on your centralized exchanges? Are they providing the coins for you to market make or create the markets? What does exactly mean? How close are you to Binance and to the Binance order books through your centralized exchange?
We'd be getting access to all of the Binance order books on spot and futures markets. And we felt that that's necessary because we saw a lot of centralized exchanges launching in 2017, 18, even 19, and probably majority of them failed. And in our opinion, they failed for two reasons. It was lack of innovation and lack of liquidity. If you just launch a new exchange, a centralized exchange, and there's really no other incentive for a trader to go trade there, it has let's say it has less pairs, it's not that liquid, and there's really no reason for a trader to go and trade on it. So that's why we felt like this Binance partnership would be ideal, because we could bring Binance's liquidity to our traders. However, they're still our traders, right? So they'll go through onboarding with us, and they'll be able to trade on Binance. And that's where our smart trading terminal is the key innovation, right? Which is something no exchange, as I was mentioning, offers at this moment. And that advanced functionality that we've built out with all of these different order types. But our goal has been to not just offer these advanced order types as something that's out of anyone's reach. Our goal is to simplify that as much as possible, so a trader of any skill level can trade on it and go and kind of experiment and improve their trading with all of the tools at their disposal. So we just want people to trade and just be able to win more often, right? And having access and being empowered with the right tools will play some role in that. And we'd like for that to be through Aldrin.
Is there any future where the centralized order book and the decentralized order book become one? Any future? I'm letting my imagination go wild here.
It's possible. Like, the way that we've built our technology is pretty flexible, I'd say. So it's like we can plug into any liquidity partners. And yeah, that's definitely possible. That's something that we've thought about.
That would be a different level of liquidity. Let's put it like that.
Absolutely, and that's why we're growing our team to help us build such awesome ideas and kind of bring them into existence. We've done a lot of the hard work in the initial plumbing.
Maintaining a centralized exchange and building a decentralized exchange at the same time, I mean, you could offer maybe access to some arbitrage tools, some automated bots that close these kind of gaps. It would even create a healthier market. So I totally understand, and I love the idea. I'm not a technical person. I've been living in DeFi for many years since the beginning, but I have a quant background of investment Markowitz portfolio theories and all the classical stuff. So I totally understand what you're going for, and I love the idea.
Yeah, the key thing is, right, like the retail traders, the regular folks like you and I who are not part of large institutions, they always have this disadvantage. You know, in the traditional finance, it's with data. So okay, crypto takes care of that. The data is more, you know, democratized, let's call it. But then also with tools, right? Like it just always seems like the retail folks are just, you know, missing either on data or on technology, and we feel like there's no reason for that. You know, we're at a point where we can build all these tools and offer them probably at no additional cost, right? As long as they're coming and they're trading with us, that is the incentive. Just, you know, you don't have to pay, let's say, any extra fees, for example, for using, you know, all these enhanced tools. It'll just come with the exchange and just bring volume, right? If you're trading with us, that's more than enough for us.
Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. I see a couple of questions from the various platforms that we're streaming, and I see a couple that are actually being repeated. Question number one. Maybe they're dumb, and maybe they are. I mean, dumb. Maybe they are not appropriate to answer. So, question number one that I see twice on YouTube is: are you planning on any airdrops or anything like that?
We're not planning on it. There's no airdrop plan, but you know we're gonna do the community farming program, and it's not an airdrop exactly, but yeah, there's definitely a community incentive to come and use the products and still be able to earn the RIN token.
I approve this kind of marketing campaigns. It really gives power to the power users.
Correct.
I see a question about the connection of the RIN token and the profitability of the decentralized exchange, the protocol, and everything that your guy is building. And I assume it's through a buyback and burn mechanism. Could you provide any details on that?
Sure. So our initial program is with the AMM, right? So there's going to be staking rewards distributed back to the users, and we'll have the details released, as I was mentioning to you, in a more granular way. However, we're also thinking about a buyback and burn program, and we're just kind of contemplating if we're going to trigger that right now, or are we going to trigger that once the centralized exchange goes live. And so at that point, we'll kind of have like a buyback and burn program and also a stake and earn program. And that's something that we've thought about at a high level to be really powerful, right? Usually you only get one or the other, and in this case, you'll kind of have both within RIN. So yes, definitely in our plans, buyback and burn. How it's going to happen is being decided at this moment internally.
And last question, which I'm sure you've been asked 100 times, but you mentioned Binance, and people are asking when Binance. You mentioned Serum, and the understanding that you also have Alameda as Alameda Group as one of your investors. Maybe that means you're going to be listed in FTX. So when FTX, I understand if you cannot answer any of the two.
Yeah, I definitely cannot comment or answer those questions. However, what we believe is we continue to build, we continue to work, and we continue to kind of make the community happy, and hopefully the community will continue to grow. And as we all grow together, listings become sort of like, you know, it's just gonna happen, right? It's the probability of all those things kind of goes higher. And I'm sure they look at top quality projects for listings as well, because they're both reputable exchanges. And so our goal is to just be a top quality project and just have really strong community growth and excitement around Aldrin. And I think, you know, that's probably going to be a possibility for sure.
Are you planning on catering to the US people at all? Or Aldrin will not be available for US citizens?
Aldrin is not available to the US, and it'll probably be that way for the near future. However, coming back into the US and having some form of business established in the United States would be pretty awesome, and that's something that excites me a lot. It's just that we're still relatively small, and our focus is on, you know, the current growth and just kind of growing the product and our service outside of the US. And then we'll have a better strategy and kind of more strategic thinking around what we can do in the United States market. Should we partner with someone? Should we sort of like start from scratch? And we have some ideas on how to go about it, and we feel like our products will be innovative enough to still stand out, even though the competition is high all over the world. I'd say in the exchange space, but that's where we like to just continuously innovate and double down and figure out how we're gonna be different and still add value to the traders. And so yeah, definitely US is in the plans, but nothing like kind of decided on at this moment.
Makes sense. You need to do very careful steps in order to do that. And additionally, you're operating, at least you are creating, you are building a decentralized exchange, and you are a centralized entity. And with you on the wheel, you are the one guiding and steering the whole thing. So even if the decentralized exchange bridges some regulations, there is an endpoint that they can actually find. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, that's the reason precisely why we're avoiding United States, right? So even though we have a DEX, we've kind of, geo-blocked US, and we'll take whatever steps necessary to do that, just so that we are not, falling on outside of the line or crossing the line, let's put it that way. So we're watching closely how the regulators interact with Uniswap and other DeFi protocols. We'll keep an eye on it. We have a really solid legal team, and they give us a lot of great advice. And one of those is to not cater to U.S. Traders and businesses, and we're following that advice at this moment because we want to do the right thing, right? Like, we don't want to have issues later on in the life cycle of the company where 2 years or 3 years later we have some lawsuits or some drama happening. And so the best course of action is to navigate in the right way, take the right steps, and see how the regulators will provide more guidance and then follow those steps. I think that's going to be the right way to do it. There's really that's just the reality of this industry that we're in. So we just want to follow best practices.
Man, you've answered all my questions. You've made me understand everything. I can't be more thankful. Is there anything else that you want to actually tell the world? We have quite a lot of people listening to us, and obviously I'm going to edit and create a video, share it on every media platform and all communities. So anything that you would like to tell the world about Aldrin or about something that is coming up, maybe?
Look, first of all, I appreciate you having me here and giving me an opportunity to speak to so many people that are listening in, and thank you to all of you for listening in and tuning in. Some of the key things are, once again, our mission is to simplify DeFi, and if you believe in that, come support us at Aldrin, and you can support us in various ways, right? Join our community, give us feedback, use our products, tell us how we can improve it. We're always keen to listen and focus on your feedback quite a lot, right? So feel free to give us all the feedback that's necessary. If you're someone that wants to get involved in kind of helping Aldrin grow and feel like you want to apply for one of our positions, please do that as well. We're keen to kind of talk to passionate people in the space to come help us build Aldrin into one of the best and biggest DEXs that's going to be existing, right? So we're really ambitious. We have a really high goal for Aldrin, and that's a journey that we want everyone to be a part of with us. And we're available in Telegram, on our Discord, so feel free to come and chat with us. We're also chiming in once in a while, like the executive team. So we're there, we're listening, we're watching. If you need anything or we can help you in any way, we'd be happy to facilitate.
Thank you so much. The Grape community, the Grape protocol, me, my friends, everybody's at your disposal. We want to make Solana successful, the user experience beautiful, and DeFi have the highest TVL across all ecosystems. So yes, I'm excited to see you guys grow. I'm excited to trade on your exchange. I'm thankful you listed Grape so fast, and I'm thankful you took the time to be here to answer my questions, and I couldn't ask for more. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. It was such a pleasure. Thank you.
And thank you to all the people, to the 200 plus people that passed, that heard us, and we promise to deliver the best user experience in Solana to come. And of course, through the Grape community, we promise to continuously bring you amazing Solana founders and lots of alpha. Again, guys, thank you so much.
Thanks. This was awesome. You guys are definitely doing something special at Grape, and I'm happy to be a part of it in a small way. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Goodbye, guys. I will close the stage.
Bye-bye.
Beautiful AMA for those that are still on my YouTube media and Twitch platforms. Hisham Khan. I'm not sure if I'm slaughtering the name. I forgot to ask him about the Japanese communities. Meh. Very nice talker. Understanding of where he is, what he's building. I'm thankful. I'm thankful that he took the time to actually be here. This was. I want to thank massively this guy here. Let me actually bring it on the other screen. Massive thank you to Wunderbar 787. He brought us amazing questions. He made the introduction with Mr. Khan. And the guys were amazing. They listed the Grape immediately. They spoke to me immediately. And I want to thank also the Grape community for providing the amazing flyers. I want to show you something. Because I'm not gonna stream tonight. I have a tennis match. I want to show you what happens in the what's it called, in the designer. This is designers. This is something you it unlocks if you have 5,000 Grape and you're holding 5,000 Grape and you apply on one of the roles. If you apply for the designer roles. So I asked the designer roles for flyers and some media to actually push the AMA with Aldrin. Pepe Pauls here create this amazing GIF where Aldrin comes and the Aldrin logo comes and sits on my head. And look at how many flyers I was given. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I will not count this. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 flyers. 17 flyers. And this is why the Grape community will be successful. Just because we have amazing members. So thank you all for putting work to make this happen. Thank you for being on the Twitch, media and YouTube, for supporting us, for being there for us. I love you all. And here is Gatoshi. Param! Gatoshi is coming to say hi. My name is Gatoshi and I love everybody on stream. Meow meow. Can I implement Grape on any Discord community? Yes, the tools can be deployed in any community. We can incubate communities also on the Grape Discord, but we can also provide all the tools to create a form of decentralized governance, a mode of security to secure your channel and your community and make it impossible to deplatform. If someone deletes you, metadata is on chain, you pull all your achievements, roles, accomplishments without any of the members being lost. Guys, I'm gonna let you go. I love you all. I thank you all. And I wish you eternal green portfolios.